This is Russell Copeland, former NFL player for the Buffalo Bills, Green Bay Packers, and Philadelphia Eagles. Played in Super Bowl 28 as a member of the Buffalo Bills. Well, Super Bowl 57 is now in the record books. And what a classic. It was definitely worth the price of admission. And first of all, I want to say congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning the Super Bowl. Congratulations to Andy Reid and his coaching staff. Congratulations to Patrick Mahomes for being the MVP. And coming into this game, man, it was a lot of different storylines. You had the Kelsey brothers playing against one another. You had Andy Reid facing against his old team. But I don't think any of the storylines were bigger than, for the first time in history, two African Americans would be featured in a Super Bowl playing against one another. And man, I just have to tell you, they did not disappoint. Both of these quarterbacks played lights out. Jalen Hurts, man, it's hard. It's difficult. I understand. For you to play the type of football game that you played and to come up short. This young man played balls out. He showed why he was the leading candidate for most of the year for the MVP and why he came runners up to the MVP. And then there's Patrick Mahomes. He showed everyone why he is that guy. He's that dude. Why he is the best quarterback in the National Football League. And you look at what he's been able to do for the first 5 years, going back to the Super Bowl. Now he has 2 Super Bowls, and I think I can hear it. I can hear the whispers. I can hear the footsteps. Is Patrick Mahomes the GOAT? Will he ultimately be the GOAT? That's going to be the conversation that's coming up, even though Tom Brady been to 10 and he has won 7. But the talent level that Patrick Mahomes has and what he's done at an early part of his career, now winning his 2nd Super Bowl, those conversations, we're going to begin to start hearing those. But man, it was just an epic game. And now just talking about the X's and the O's, I think Philadelphia Eagles came in the first half with a great game plan. They kept the football away from Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes didn't have the football, but 3 possessions in the first half. I do think the Philadelphia Eagles left some points that was on the board. I think when they got down as far as driving outside the red area to drive, I think those points they left in the football game ultimately came back. They needed those points. But as far as having big plays, as far as Jalen Hurts being able to hit on 3rd down, I do think when you look at the 3rd down and long, he was able to hit those plays. But on 1st and 2nd down, I think they wanted to keep the defense honest for Kansas City, but I think they ran too much. I think they could have had an opportunity to be able to have A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith to be able to work that secondary because both of them had big games. At the end, A.J. had 96, and I think Devontae had 100. I do think the turning point in the football game in the first half, when Kansas City Chiefs were on the ropes, the only mistake that Jalen Hurts made was the fumble 6 that led to 6 points for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think they had an opportunity then to go up 14 points. They go up 14 points at that point in time in the game. They had the momentum. It might have even been they had a chance to go up 17 points. I'm not really sure. But the momentum was with the Philadelphia Eagles. They had just scored on the previous drive, and now they had the football again. They had stopped the Kansas City Chiefs defensively. So that was a turning point. But after he makes the mistake, what you got to love about this young man is that he kept his poise. He came back. And I think the first play from scrimmage, when they get the football back offensively, they give him a quarterback draw. He runs for about 15, 20 yards. He gets right back in the saddle. This young man right here has poise that we've never seen before. He has it together. And I think we have to give a lot of credit to his family, how he was raised, and his father being a coach. You can understand that this young man right here is ready for the moment. There's not a moment that's too big for Jalen Hurts. And yes, he went to Alabama, but he possessed this before he was coached by Nick Saban. His father needs to get the credit for how Jalen Hurts is. So in the first half, I do think the Philadelphia Eagles controlled the game, and that was kind of a turning point that gave life to the Kansas City Chiefs. And as far as the officiating in the first half, I do think the catch by Devontae Smith on the sideline toward the end of the first half, I think it was a catch. I looked at it. And, you know, this is something that needs to be looked at again and again in the offseason as far as having control, falling to the ground. I looked at it from the backside. I think his elbow, his arm was on the football. I looked at it from the front side. And when I looked at it from the front side, the side that's facing the football field, for me, I think that it was a catch, and that was big. Because if they can go up and score a touchdown then before the half, now they're up 14 points. Them being up 14 points going in at the half, the defense had just tackled Patrick Mahomes. He was limping. He was hurting going in at the halftime. Now the Philadelphia Eagles have that momentum with 14 points. A difference than being up 14 than being up 10, because at the end of the game, it's 35-35. Now let's just talk about the second half of the football game. This is where coaching comes in. And I talked about on a lot of different media outlets here, had a lot of shows that I did here about coaching, how important is the coaching. And I think in the second half, you saw Andy Reid and Spagnuolo be able to make adjustments. Offensively, the Kansas City Chiefs made the adjustments that they need in the second half. They scored on every possession in the second half. Defensively, they gave some different looks to Jalen Hurts. They played different coverages on defense. Spagnuolo made his adjustments. I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles made the adjustments that they needed to in the second half, and I think it came up to hurt them. I talked about the points that they left on the field in the first half, and I think they needed those points. And also I talked about the officiating with the catch with Jalen on the sideline before the first half. Just from a defensive standpoint for the Eagles, they've been one of the most dominated defensive fronts. They've been able to get after the passer. We haven't seen a pass rush like the Philadelphia Eagles since the 85 Chicago Bears. The Philadelphia Eagles led the National Football League in sacks. They were not able to get to the quarterback. They were not able defensively to get turnovers. So I have to give credit now to the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line. They did not give up a sack. And for an offensive football team, they did not turn over the football. And that was the difference between the game. Not giving up sacks, protecting your quarterback, and not turning the football over. So the adjustments were big in the second half. I thought the Philadelphia Eagles pretty much could have did some bracket coverages more, but the adjustments that Kansas City Chiefs made they were doing a lot of motion. And the motion that they were doing back and forth was able to, now you get the defensive backs, they have to be able to bump it off, trade it off, or even stay man to man. And they were conversating in the trade off. They ended up leaving two wide receivers wide open in the red area toward the goal line. Those were big plays. And I talked about on different outlets last week about the special teams. Both of these special teams were dead last, ranked 31st and 32nd, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I thought the game would come down to some special teams play. And Tony, man, toward the end of the game, that was a big punt return. The longest punt return, 68 yards in the history of the Super Bowl. Big punt return for Tony. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. When you look at the holding call, 154, 3rd and 8 in the fourth quarter, I do not think Bradbury impeded Juju. I don't think Juju would have gotten to the ball. I think it was good physicality. Yes, I saw a little tug at the jersey when he was running the whip route and being able to go down and out. You cannot call that. We're looking at an epic football game. We're looking at 35-35, one of the best football games that we've seen in the Super Bowl. Let the players win the game. You cannot make a call that ends this type of game. I think for all the football fans, I'm not going to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs fan because, of course, they're going to be with the Chiefs. And I'm not going to talk about the Eagles fans, so, of course, they're going to say it's a bad call. For all of the millions of fans that were not behind one of these two teams, we got cheated. Because I would want to see is if the field goal kicker can make the kick. Let's say he does make the kick. Jalen Hurts gets the football back. I want to see the poise of Jalen Hurts. I want to see if Jalen Hurts can go down and lead his team to a field goal or win the game. You know, this was not blatant like we saw a few years ago when Minnesota was playing against the Saints. That blatant pass interference and hitting the guy late. We're not talking about that. If you look at the game, the National Football League, if you've played in the National Football League, which I have, you can literally call holding on the offensive line almost every play. You can call holding or pass interference on the majority of passing plays in the National Football League. At that point in time, you have to let that go. Can't call it. And I know Bradbury said at the end of the game, yes, I tugged on the jersey. Yes, I did that. I thought I was going to get away with it. Bradbury is being politically correct. He's being a good sport. I'm saying that I feel like you let that go. At that nature of the game, how big that game was, I don't think there was a call that could have been made. I don't think it was to the point where it impeded him and it was obvious. And Juju is not the fastest of the receivers. He was not going to get to the football anyway. Patrick Mahomes just threw the football up in the air because he was hoping to get the call and get a bailout. And that's what he got a bailout. But at the end of the day, it was a great football game. It was an outstanding Super Bowl. And it was just as good as any great Super Bowl that we've seen. And I put it up there near the top. Outstanding job of both of these football teams. Congratulations again to the Kansas City Chiefs. That's my take. That's my recap of Super Bowl 57. I am Russell Copeland, former NFL player for the Buffalo Bills, Green Bay Packers, and Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you all for taking your time and listening to my videos. Hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks.